Hi there, I'm Noah Bradley. This is Handmade House TV, and on today's episode I wanted to address the issue of making use of railroad ties or utility poles in the construction of our handmade house. So stay tuned. So today I wanted to address the issue of, and I get this question fairly often, what about the idea of making use of salvaged railroad ties or utility poles? That they are readily available, they seem to be in good shape, and they're bargain priced, and they're proven to be durable and lasting. And so people are interested in doing that. And first of all, I can say that making use of salvaged materials in the construction of your home is smart, it is wise, it will give you a better home in most situations. I'm the biggest proponent in the world of making use of salvaged materials, but two materials I encourage you to stay away from with an absolute passion, and they are railroad ties and utility poles. Do not use them on your home. Do not even bring these materials onto your property. Do your best to dissuade neighbors from making use of this material. Do not use it for landscaping. Heaven forbid, do not use them in your garden in any format. Yes, indeed, they have proven themselves to be durable, and they are often made of high quality materials. When you look at a utility pole, they're straight, they're of a good size, there are no branches on it. You would think that, wow, I mean, and these products were used from high quality trees, and they are extremely durable, but the issue with them is the toxicity of them. There is no more deadly, more toxic material that you will encounter in your life than these two particular wood products. And the reality is that this toxicity does not go away, and it is constantly leaching. Both utility pole manufacturers and railroad ties, first of all, the industry that creates them is allowed to use more toxic chemicals on them than what we are allowed to use on the materials that, say, go on our home or in our garden area. There's special regulations with regard to who cares if the railroad tracks are a little bit more toxic than, say somebody's garden. And so naturally the rules and regulations don't apply to utility companies and toward government entities as well as it does you and I. And I'm sure you're aware of that. And also, the further you go back in time, the more toxic the materials that were available. It doesn't take very far back to get into DDT. And for those of us old enough to remember DDT, it was just a horrific pesticide that is, from what I understand, is still available in some third world countries. So, and I'm not saying that utility poles or railroad ties might have DDT on it, but I can say this, that if you're using these products that were salvaged from, say, 20 years ago, or 30 or 40, that if they've reached their lifetime where they're no longer being used and they're being offered to the public for purchase, that you are getting these particular products. And the idea of building a home, of having your interior wall made out of toxic materials, or that your children would be touching these materials, or that they're outside on the ground and they're leaching into the area. It's my opinion, I would not eat a vegetable that came within 100 yards of a railroad tie. And if you got a neighbor who's constructed something out of railroad ties, I think it would automatically assume that anything that is down water, that the water washes off of it into the environment, that it is now toxic. Now, whether or not it'll kill you or not, and we all have our varying degrees and expectations of what we choose to have for our own particular exposure. But nonetheless, when you're building a handmade house, say a log cabin, it's amazing if you build a log cabin out of wood that really doesn't have that much natural resistance to rot. If you build it in the traditional manner and you chink it properly, it will last for centuries. There's no need to apply a great deal of toxic materials to it. And for those situations such as maybe the floor joist of our porches, where water will get to them and water might be trapped for a while, and we want to ensure that that area doesn't rot, plus we want to comply to Mr. Code Man, there are situations where we want to use pressure treated new material that is as regulated as what it can be in today's world. We certainly don't want to be seeking out toxic materials from 20 years ago and then using it in an area where we will actually be in contact with it. Anyway, I hope you appreciated that, and I hope you will stay away from these materials. Let them go to landfills or wherever it is that toxic materials are disposed of, and we will and use natural materials that are rot resistant as much as possible. Black locust, walnut, white oak, all tremendous materials that will hold up for decades when exposed to weather. And build your house out of natural materials that you would like to be around. Anyway, you guys take care. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you here next week on Handmade House TV. Bye now.
Bye.